Maybe you've spent years wondering why uniting with your twin flame has always felt out of reach. Years trying to understand why, even while experiencing such a deep connection. Something always seemed to block this love from appearing in your physical reality. Perhaps you've blamed timing, the universe, unresolved wounds, or external circumstances. The truth, however, that few acknowledge is this: conscious union between twin flames only becomes possible when the empath has fully healed. Many who identify as empaths in the twin flame journey believe that their sensitivity, their capacity to feel deeply, and their willingness to love unconditionally are their greatest strengths. And in a sense, they are. But these same qualities, without strong boundaries and genuine self-love, can become the very chains that prevent union from manifesting. If you're watching this video, you likely recognize the empath's patterns in your own twin flame experience. You've probably felt the pain of loving someone who seemed incapable of matching your intensity. You may have questioned whether it's worth continuing to wait, or whether it's even worth believing in a connection that appears more spiritual than physical. Today, you're going to learn not just why this healing is crucial, but most importantly, who you truly become once it takes place. To understand the healed empath, you first need to understand who they were before healing. And this truth can be difficult to accept because the unhealed empath often sees themselves as the more evolved, more loving, and more spiritually awakened partner in the connection. They pride themselves on their ability to forgive endlessly, to understand the other's wounds, and to maintain faith in the connection even when everything seems to indicate they should let go. Yet, this spiritual pride often masks a deeper, more painful reality. Much of what the empath calls love is actually a subtle way of avoiding their own unresolved wounds, abandonment, rejection, and the feeling of not belonging. The unhealed empath operates from a place of lack even when their words sound elevated and spiritual. They believe they need the twin flame to feel complete, to validate their experiences, and to give meaning to their journey. They convince themselves that their life purpose is inherently tied to union with this specific person, and this belief can become a prison that's impossible to escape. Every synchronicity is seen as proof that they should keep waiting. Every dream about the twin flame is interpreted as a message from the universe that union is near. Every small word or gesture is meticulously analyzed, searching for signs that their partner is finally awakening to the connection. But here's the blind spot: the unhealed empath cannot see this obsession, even when it appears as faith actually broadcasts an energetic frequency of desperate need. And desperate need never attracts, it always pushes away. It doesn't matter how many affirmations they repeat, how many meditations on union they practice, or how many creative visualizations they perform. If beneath all of this lies the energy of, I need this person to feel complete, I need this union to prove I'm sane, I need this love to save me from myself, then they are operating from the wrong energetic polarity. The unhealed empath often builds an identity around suffering for the connection. They become the person who loves unconditionally despite all the pain, the one who maintains faith regardless of evidence to the contrary, the person strong enough to endure inconsistency, emotional abandonment, and endless cycles of approaching and withdrawing. On the surface, this identity may seem noble, but it is deeply self-destructive. The empath uses suffering as proof of virtue, pain as evidence of love, and sacrifice as a demonstration of spiritual growth. This is a dangerous distortion of what true love actually means. Another common pattern in the unhealed empath is the savior mentality. They observe the twin flame's wounds, destructive patterns, and fears, and believe that if they love enough, are patient enough, or prove that it's safe to love, the twin flame will finally open up and union will occur. But this savior-rescue dynamic is inherently toxic. It places the empath in a position of moral superiority disguised as spiritual humility and keeps the twin flame in a role of an eternally wounded child who must be rescued. No conscious union can be built on this flawed foundation. Boundaries are another challenge for the unhealed empath. They often see boundaries as a lack of love, saying no as a lack of compassion, and protecting their emotional space as selfishness. This makes them highly permeable to the twin flame's energy, absorbing pain, carrying burdens, and attempting to transmute shadows through their own body and mind. Not only does this fail, it slowly erodes the empath's sense of self. They lose their individuality, dissolve their own needs, and prioritize the other person completely. This creates a paradox. The harder the empath tries to force union, the more impossible it becomes. True twin flame union cannot happen between a complete person and a fragmented one, between someone who loves themselves and someone who abandons themselves, or between someone anchored in truth and someone dissolved in need for another. Union requires two individuals who have already done the deep work of becoming whole, who have cultivated genuine self-love, established healthy boundaries, and healed core wounds of abandonment and rejection. When the empath realizes this, when they stop waiting for the twin flame's healing first and take full responsibility for their own growth, everything begins to shift. The empath undergoes a transformation that reshapes their psyche, their energy, and their way of relating to themselves and the world. To those who resonate with what has been shared so far, maybe feeling relief, anxiety, or urgency to heal, I want to say this: breathe. Calm down. Healing isn't about flipping a switch overnight, going from complete surrender to total closure. It isn't about choosing a rigid new extreme. Healing is about integration, learning to navigate between openness and boundaries, compassion and self-protection, without losing yourself on either side. If this journey feels difficult, scary, or even lonely right now, know that it is normal. And because I understand how challenging it can feel, I have prepared something special for you. The ebooks 21 Days of Transformation with Carl Jung's teachings and the survival manual for difficult days were created specifically for moments like this, to meet you where you are and guide you gently yet firmly, day by day, back toward your wholeness. They offer a practical invitation, so you don't have to navigate this journey alone. You can find the link to the ebooks in the description, and I encourage you to explore them once this video ends, because your healing cannot wait any longer. Now, the first shift occurs when an empath chooses to truly heal. The identity they built around their connection with the twin flame undergoes a psychic death. The person who measured their worth by loving someone unreachable must let go. The one who took pride in their noble suffering must let go. The individual who believed their life's purpose was to make that specific union work must also let go. Even though this process is necessary and liberating, it is painful. The empath often experiences what feels like an existential emptiness. They question who they are without the fixation on the twin flame. They wonder what their purpose is if it's no longer about making that union succeed. They feel lost without the mental framework that structured their entire life around this connection. At such moments, it can be tempting to return to familiar patterns of chasing and waiting, because even a distorted sense of purpose feels safer than none. However, if the empath has the courage to navigate this dark night of the soul without reverting to old habits, something extraordinary begins to emerge. They start discovering parts of themselves that had been dormant during their obsession with the twin flame, interests they abandoned, talents they neglected, dreams they postponed, and relationships they let fade. They realize a full life exists beyond the twin flame dynamic. The second transformation for the healing empath is the development of authentic boundaries. This is revolutionary for someone who spent so long believing that boundaries were a sign of a lack of love. The empath learns that boundaries are not walls, they are bridges that allow for healthy connection. Saying no when something doesn't feel right is not rejection, it is honesty. Protecting one's emotional space is not selfishness, it is personal responsibility. True love does not require abandoning oneself to care for another. As the empath establishes these healthy boundaries, the relationship with the twin flame shifts dramatically. They stop mistaking small, inconsistent gestures for love. They no longer tolerate erratic behavior as if it were a spiritual lesson. They stop rationalizing emotional neglect as if patience will heal unhealed wounds. Instead, they set clear standards for what they will accept and have the inner strength to walk away when these standards are violated. Something remarkable often happens at this stage. When empaths claim their right to reciprocity, consistency, and a partner who is fully present, the twin flame usually responds in one of two ways. Either they awaken and start their own healing journey to show up more maturely, or they pull away completely. Both outcomes are beneficial. The first opens the path to a genuine union. The second frees the empath from a relationship that was never capable of becoming healthy. The third transformation of the healed empath is the return of vital energy. During the period of chasing, waiting, and trying to force union through willpower and spiritual determination, their energy had been drained. The empath was channeling immense amounts of vital energy toward the twin flame. They constantly thought about them, felt for them, tried to understand them, and held emotional space for them even when they weren't physically present. This outward flow of energy left the empath drained, depleted, and without enough inner resources to properly care for themselves. When the empath begins to heal and withdraws these projections, when they stop giving their vital energy to a space where there is no reciprocity, something remarkable happens. All that energy comes back to them. Suddenly, they reconnect with a vitality they had forgotten was possible. They wake up feeling rested, with energy to invest in personal projects, healthy relationships, and caring for their own body and mind. They feel grounded in their own life in ways they hadn't experienced for years. This return of vital energy creates tangible shifts in the empath's life. Projects that were stuck start to progress. Opportunities that seemed blocked begin to open. New people enter their life, offering healthy, reciprocal, and nourishing connections. It's as if the universe had been waiting for the empath to stop investing energy in a stagnant dynamic so it could be redirected toward more productive and rewarding paths. The fourth transformation is the development of what can be called an autonomous, magnetic presence. During the period of codependency with the twin flame, the empath emitted an energetic frequency that could be described as neediness disguised as love. Even when they tried to appear independent or act as if they were fine alone, the underlying energy revealed a sense of incompleteness, a feeling that someone else was needed to feel whole. This energy, no matter how spiritually packaged, is inherently repelling. However, when the empath genuinely heals and does the deep work of becoming complete on their own, their frequency changes dramatically. They now radiate a sense of wholeness, self-sufficiency, and inner fullness that does not rely on external validation. They become like a sun, shining with their own light, rather than a moon reflecting someone else's. This shift in presence creates a powerful magnetic effect, not only on the twin flame, but on everyone they encounter. This magnetic presence is not something the empath is performing. It is a natural outcome of genuinely loving themselves, understanding their worth, being anchored in their own truth, and not requiring outside approval to feel good. Paradoxically, when the empath stops needing the twin flame, they become more attractive to them because they are finally aligned with the correct energetic polarity. The fifth transformation of the healed empath is the development of refined spiritual discernment. While fixated on the twin flame, the empath often lost the ability to distinguish genuine intuition from wishful thinking disguised as spiritual guidance. They interpreted every synchronicity as confirmation to continue waiting and read every sign from the universe as proof that union was near. Dreams or visions were turned into messages, insisting they maintain faith in the connection at any cost. When the empath heals and gains emotional distance, they develop the ability to separate real intuition from their own projections. They can discern genuine synchronicities guiding their path from desires being mistaken for external signs. They learn to question their interpretations, test their inner guidance, and avoid confusing what they want to be true with what actually is. This refined discernment completely changes how the empath navigates not just the twin flame connection, but all areas of life. They stop deceiving themselves about situations that no longer serve their higher good. They quickly recognize when they are being emotionally manipulated or falling back into old patterns of codependency. They develop an inner sense of truth that is not easily swayed by flattering words, empty promises, or occasional gestures of affection. The sixth transformation can be described as a reunion with the empath's individual mission. For a long time, the empath was consumed by the twin flame, intertwining their personal life mission with the relationship. They believed their purpose depended on making the union work, that their contribution to the world would be amplified through that specific partnership, and that their spiritual growth relied on it. However, as they heal and release these projections, they discover something unexpected. They have an independent mission that had been hidden by obsession. This mission can take many forms, perhaps a dormant creative calling, a unique talent waiting to be developed and shared, service work that nourishes the soul, or a distinctive contribution to collective growth. What all these paths have in common is that they are deeply connected to the empath's essence, independent of anyone else's presence, and provide a sense of purpose and fulfillment that obsession with the twin flame could never offer. When the empath reconnects with this individual mission and invests energy in it, something remarkable occurs. They find they can create deep meaning, positively influence the world, and live a rich, satisfying life entirely independent of union with the twin flame. This realization is liberating in ways words cannot fully express. Union shifts from being a necessity to being one possibility among many, something they may choose if it fits, but not something required for fulfillment. The seventh, and perhaps most profound, transformation is the development of mature love. During the period of codependency, what the empath called love was often a mixture of emotional neediness, anxious attachment, idealization, projection, and fear of abandonment. It was a conditional love. I love you to complete me. I love you to validate my experience. I love you to prove I am not crazy. True love cannot coexist with such hidden motives. Through healing, the empath cultivates the ability to love unconditionally, not by denying their own needs or sacrificing themselves, but because their needs are already met and they now have abundance to share. Mature love does not possess control or try to shape the other. It celebrates individuality, sincerely wishes for the other's happiness, even if it does not include the empath, and honors unique paths even when they diverge. Mature love also involves the ability to let go when needed. The healed empath understands that some connections, however meaningful, are not meant to manifest as lasting physical relationships. Some exist to catalyze growth and then dissolve. Some remain as soul connections primarily in non-physical dimensions, and some evolve into conscious unions, but only when both individuals have completed the necessary work of healing and individuation. The healed empath does not rigidly insist on how a connection should unfold. They trust that when guided by the universe's greater wisdom, events naturally progress in a way that serves the highest good of everyone involved. If physical union is meant to occur, it will happen at the right time and in the right way. If it is not meant to happen, there are deeper reasons the conscious mind may not fully grasp, but the empath chooses to trust the process anyway. Ironically, this ability to let go often creates the very space in which union can emerge. By releasing the need to control outcomes, by trusting the larger process, and by prioritizing their own well-being above any specific connection, they generate an energetic space ready to be filled by what truly aligns with their soul's path. The eighth transformation of the healed empath can be described as the integration of polarities. During the unhealed phase, empaths often operated from one extreme, pure love, total openness, constant surrender, and overwhelming compassion. They overdeveloped their receptive, feminine qualities while neglecting masculine traits like assertiveness, direction, the ability to say no, and inner strength. This imbalance left them vulnerable to codependent patterns. Healing allows the empath to embrace qualities they had previously rejected. They learn to be compassionate yet firm, open yet protected, loving deeply while maintaining healthy boundaries. Emotional sensitivity is balanced with inner strength. This integration creates a more complete, balanced individual, someone able to navigate both vulnerability and strength, receptivity and intentional action. This shift also transforms the dynamic with a twin flame when present. The empath no longer plays solely the receptive role, waiting for the other to act. They can take initiative when necessary. They are no longer just the caretaker absorbing another's emotions. They can ask for care in return. They are no longer the one who forgives endlessly. They can also set boundaries and consequences. This balanced interplay between polarities allows for a more mature and sustainable relationship. The ninth transformation is the cultivation of sovereign peace. The unhealed empath often lived in emotional turbulence, constantly reacting to the twin flames' behaviors, hope when they approached, despair when they withdrew. Their inner peace depended entirely on factors beyond their control, leaving them emotionally unstable. The healed empath develops a stable inner center that remains undisturbed by external circumstances. They anchor themselves in their own truth, their connection to a higher order, and their trust in life's greater process. This peace is not emotional numbness. It is a profound serenity that coexists with joy, sadness, love, and longing without being destabilized by any of them. This sovereign peace shapes how the healed empath navigates life's ups and downs. They no longer panic when plans fail. They do not collapse in the face of rejection or abandonment. Uncertainty does not shake their center. They move with the calm assurance of someone who has already endured transformation and knows they can withstand anything life presents. When a twin flame encounters this healed empath, they meet completely different energy. The desperation that once radiated from them has vanished. The chasing energy has been replaced by a stable, magnetic presence. Anxious attachment has transformed into free, unattached love. Often, this new energetic state is exactly what the twin flame needed to engage in a more genuine and committed way. The 10th, and perhaps final, transformation of a healed empath can be called embodied wisdom. Throughout the healing journey, the empath gathers not only intellectual understanding of relationships, psychological patterns, and spiritual principles, but also lived wisdom gained from direct experience. They know firsthand what it means to love without losing themselves. They deeply understand the difference between compassion and codependency. They feel, at a visceral level, why boundaries are expressions of self-love rather than a lack of love for someone else. This embodied wisdom shapes them into someone capable of guiding others on similar journeys. They become a beacon of possibility for empaths still caught in cycles of codependency and self-sacrifice. Their transformation serves as proof that healing is possible, freedom is possible, and love is possible without self-destruction. Frequently sharing this wisdom becomes part of the healed empath's life mission, a way to give meaning to the pain they endured. When all these transformations are complete and the empath has healed on every level, their twin flame union becomes something profoundly different from what it once was. They are no longer a fragmented half searching for someone to complete them. They are a whole person choosing to share their completeness with another whole person. They are no longer a savior attempting to heal the other through sacrificial love. Instead, they are a journey companion who can offer genuine support without assuming responsibility for the other's healing. In a conscious union made possible by this level of healing, the dynamics of chaser and runner disappear. The endless cycles of approaching and withdrawing vanish. The painful pattern of one person giving more than the other can accept no longer exists. What remains is a meeting of two individuals who have done the inner work to become whole, developed genuine self-love, established healthy boundaries, and healed their core wounds. In this union, both can love deeply without losing themselves. Both can surrender without abandoning their essence. Both can be vulnerable without becoming codependent. Both can create profound intimacy while maintaining autonomy. This type of relationship honors both connection and individuality, union and freedom, love and personal sovereignty. The healed empath brings to the union a unique ability to witness the other without trying to fix them. They can be present for the twin flame's shadows without absorbing them. They can provide space for the other to process emotions without internalizing them. They can love fully while maintaining clarity about where they end and the other begins. This capacity for intimacy without fusion is rare, valuable, and only possible after deep healing. Perhaps the most precious gift a healed empath brings to union is the energetic frequency of mature love. This is a love that does not keep score, maintain lists of sacrifices, or expect exact reciprocity. It flows from abundance, not scarcity. It celebrates the other's successes without envy, supports their dreams even when they diverge, and honors their unique path even when it is hard to witness. This type of love transforms the union entirely. Instead of a battlefield where two wounded egos fight for validation, it becomes a sacred space for mutual growth. Instead of a prison where needs and expectations trap both, it becomes a field of freedom to explore the highest potentials. Instead of a constant source of drama, it becomes a refuge of peace, where both can rest in authenticity. The healed empath also brings the capacity to remain anchored in their own truth. Even when this causes tension, they no longer bend to avoid conflict, suppress needs for superficial peace, or abandon authenticity to meet expectations. Paradoxically, this steadfastness allows for deeper intimacy, as the other can trust they are relating to a genuine person rather than a constructed persona. In union with the healed empath, the twin flame is challenged to undertake their own healing and growth. They can no longer hide behind the empath's wounds or use codependency as an excuse to avoid intimacy. They can no longer rely on the empath's willingness to sacrifice to evade responsibility for their own emotional needs. The healed empath serves as a crystal-clear mirror, reflecting both light and shadow equally. This conscious mirroring often accelerates the twin flame's awakening in ways that years of chasing and pleading never could. because now they're encountering someone who won't settle for less, who won't accept inconsistency, who won't wait indefinitely while they decide whether they are willing to do the work of growth. They have a choice. Either they commit to their own healing to become worthy of this conscious union, or they miss the chance to connect with someone they recognize on a soul level as extraordinary. But the healed empath doesn't make dramatic ultimatums, set artificial deadlines, or manipulate through threats of leaving. They simply live their truth, uphold their standards, honor their needs, and trust that what truly belongs to them cannot be lost, and what isn't theirs was never meant to be held. This quality of compassionate detachment is magnetic in a way anxious attachment never could be. When a union finally forms between the healed empath and a twin flame who has also done their inner work, it transcends the patterns of ordinary romantic relationships. It becomes a spiritual partnership where each serves as a catalyst for the other's continuous growth. It's a union of missions, where individual purposes interweave, amplifying both impacts. It's alchemy, two complete individuals creating something greater than the sum of their parts. In this alchemical union, the healed empath finally understands why they endured all the pain, confusion, and cycles of hope and disappointment. Each experience was part of refining their essence, burning away codependency, and transforming the soul so they could sustain the love their spirit always knew was possible. The journey wasn't meant to make them suffer. It was meant to help them evolve, to embody true love rather than simply idealize it. Perhaps the deepest realization for the healed empath is that this twin flame union was never truly about finding someone else. It was about achieving inner union, integrating all fragmented parts of themselves, reconciling the inner feminine and masculine, uniting light and shadow, and blending the human with the divine. The twin flame is merely the mirror making this inner work visible and unavoidable. When you encounter the healed empath, you see someone transformed by fire. You notice depth in their eyes, shaped by both the pain of separation and the joy of integration. Their presence radiates peace, the peace of someone who has made peace with themselves. Their love reflects maturity, the kind that comes from understanding the difference between need and choice. The healed empath no longer tries to prove anything, force outcomes, or act with the urgency of someone racing against time. They trust divine timing, trust the process, and know that what is aligned will manifest naturally, while what isn't aligned will dissolve without drama. When asked if the pain of the journey was worth it, they respond with certainty yes, 1,000 times yes. Not because union happened exactly as imagined, but because they became who they were always meant to be. The journey wasn't about conquering another person. It was about conquering themselves. It wasn't about being loved by another, it was about learning to love themselves so fully that their love overflows naturally to others. If you recognize the patterns of the unhealed empath in yourself, know that everything described here is possible for you. Healing is not reserved for a few. It is the birthright of anyone willing to do the work. It won't be easy, fast, or linear, but every step toward healing is a step toward the life your soul always envisioned. Remember, you aren't healing to conquer a twin flame. You are healing to become your true self. Union may or may not manifest, but what is certain is that you will become someone capable of mature love, genuine intimacy, and conscious relationships, and that is the true victory. Regardless of who you eventually share this new version of yourself with, if this video resonated deeply, leave a comment saying, "I choose to heal myself." This will signal that the message reached you and will create a chain of support among others on similar journeys. Sometimes, knowing we are not alone is already half the healing. Thank you for being here. See you in the next video.